Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this tutorial I am going to show you how we can create weather app UI in Flutter. So as you can see over here, we have Android emulator and we have iOS simulator. So here we can see both have similar layout, and here you can see we have different places as per the weather, the images changing and all other informations also changing, right? And for iOS also we can see the similar thing, right? So the app is working perfectly for both of the platforms. So this is what we are going to build today. So if you are interested in this kind of tutorial, then hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so that you get notified whenever I post a new tutorial on this channel. So without wasting any more time, let's get started with the tutorial. So this is our project, and here in main.dart file for the home of our material app, I am displaying this weather app screen, and I have created this weather app within this screens directory. So here we can see we have a basic scaffold, app bar and some body content, and in this body I have provided this text, and for this text I have used Google fonts. So this is the basic setup from which we are going to build our app. And in our project I have installed these two packages, this Google Fonts one which I have already shown you, which I have used over here. I am using Lato font, right? So this is the package from which I am getting the font, and then I will use this Flutter SVG. And also I have added these assets. So I have this assets directory, and within this assets directory I have few images and icons. So I'm adding those assets as well. So these two things I have added. Now if we look to our app layout, then we can see that this is our app screen and this is the layout which we have followed. So first thing we can see that we have this image in the background, and on top of that we have these contents, and we have this top section where we have these two icons, this search icon and this menu icon, but we don't have the app bar. Actually we have that, but it is not visible. So let me start creating it. So within this weather app we will build our app. So for this container child I will remove these things, and I'm going to use stack widget. And why stack widget? Because here you can see we have this image in the background, and above that image we have these informations, right? So by using stack widget, we can stack different widget in a particular area. So let me show you what do I mean by that. So as you can see, for stack we have children. We can provide multiple widgets over here. So first we need to provide the background image. So for that I'm going to use image. So I'm going to use image from my assets directory. So here I will use night JPG image. And for fit I will use box fit cover. So after saving it, we can see the image has been present over here, but I want to expand it throughout our screen. So for that I will use height double dot infinity, and width will be the same. So now it has been expanded. Now we need to remove this app bar, but in this area we need to use those icons, the menu and the search, right? As we can see over here. So we can do that from this app bar. So here for the leading I will use icon button, and for this icon button icon I will use search, and I need to wrap it with icon. After saving it, we can see the icon has been present over here. Now we need to style it. So for the icon size I will use 30, and for the color of it I will use white color. Now we can see it's looking fine. Now we need to add the menu icon over here, and that we can do by these actions. And here for the menu we will have different kind of menu icon, and that icon we will get from this menu.svg. So I'm going to use this svg icon. For that I'm going to use this Flutter svg package. So here I have provided a container, and for this container child I will use svg picture, and for this svg picture asset I will use this menu.svg. and for the height of it I will use 30, and same for the width. Now after saving it, we can see the icon has been present over here, but I want to change the color of it, so it will be white, right? Now we need to provide some margin at the right hand side. So for that, within this container I can provide margin, and for right I will use 20. So now it's looking good, but we don't need this app bar area. As you can see over here, we are not seeing the app bar area distinctly. This app bar is part of our app body, right? So we can get that kind of layout by providing background color transparent, but again we can see that color has been gone, but it's not looking similar to our app body, and for that we need to use extend body behind app bar as true. Now we can see that it's looking good as we wanted, right? But we don't need this title, so I can get rid of it. And also for app bar elevation, we will need to use this elevation 0, and that is for the Android. In Android, for the app bar we have some shadows, and that shadow will be removed by this elevation 0 for Android. So our app bar is completed, but if we want to perform any task by clicking on this, that is not possible currently, right? As we are using container, and in this container we cannot use on pressed or on tap attributes. For this icon button I can use this on pressed, right? So that is available for us, but for this container or this SVG picture we don't have that. So we can get that functionality by wrapping this SVG picture with another widget, and that widget will be gesture detector. For this gesture detector we have this on tap, and for this on tap we can provide any other functionalities which we want, right? So I have saved this, so I'm going to print this message to our console. So I have clicked on it, and here we can see that this message is printed in our debug console, right? So that's how we can make it functional. But for this tutorial we don't have any functionalities for these two icons, so we are not going to implement that, but as it will be required, so that's why I have discussed it. Now after this image I'm going to provide a container, and let me provide a text for it. For the style of it I will use Google Fonts, and I will use this Lato, and for the font size of it I will use 35. For font weight I will use font weight bold, and for the color of it I will use white color. Now save it. Now after saving it, we can see our text has been present, but it's not positioned properly. So I will wrap this text with a column. Above this text widget I will use sized box height 120. Now after saving it, we can see that it's in a proper place. Now for this container I want to provide 20 pixel padding, so now it's in a proper position. Now let me change this image. So now it is a bright image, and over here we can see that our text and our icons are not visible. So for that, here we need to do another thing, which is we need to add another container, and for this container decoration we will provide black color with some opacity. So I'm going to use this black 38. Now after using it, you can see that it is properly visible. So that is what stack widget do. So first we have this background image layer, and on top of that layer we have this opaque color, and on top of this opaque color we have this text, right? Now we need to focus on this container, and this is the main part of our app. Over here we can see that we have this city name, the information, and the weather information and all. So let me change this to previous image. Now we are going to implement our main layout. Now we are going to focus on this layout section. Here we can notice that we have two main sections. One will be this one, which is containing our location information and weather temperature, and after that at the bottom we have this weather info and we have this thin line. So these two will be main sections of our app, and within these sections we have different kind of other smaller sections as well, right? So first we need to create this layout. layout, and to create this kind of layout we need to use column widget, and to create this kind of layout like the content will be sitting beside each other, for this kind of layout we will use row. Here we have already used a column, so we are using this sized box and text. So sized box have provided this gap from this text to the top of our screen, and then we have provided this text. Now after this text I am going to provide another text, and for this text I will use the similar style. So here we can see these two texts are not aligned properly, so I want to provide this text to the left side. For that, here in this column, for this cross-axis alignment, I can provide this cross-axis alignment start, so it has been aligned perfectly, so it will be this content, right? So this column. Now after this we have another column section, and it will be at the bottom of this top column area. Right now we have a single column, that means we need to wrap this column with another column, and this column is this top column area, which is this one, and after this column we need to provide another column area for this temperature and this weather type and icon. So within this column I will use some text, and here also I need to provide this cross-axis alignment. But here we can see that it is just below this column, but I don't want that. I want to push it at the bottom. But before pushing this column to the bottom of the screen, I will create this section as well. So we have this column and this column, and these two column is wrapped within a single column, which is this one, and after this one we need to create another column layout, and in that first we will provide this line, and then we will provide this weather info. So I need to wrap this wrapper column with another column, and after this column I'm going to create another column for its children. First I'm going to create a container, and for the container decoration I will use border, and for the border I will use this white color. Now after saving it, we can see that a line has been present over here. Now I want to provide some margin, so there is some gap. Now these two section has been pushed over here. So for that, here in this column which is wrapping all the columns, here we need to provide this cross-axis alignment. Okay, now after this container, here we can see we have weather info, and this weather info is beside each other, so it will be row layout. And for this row children we are going to add some text, so I'm going to copy this text and use it here. So now you can see the difference of the column and row. For the column the widgets are presented from top to bottom, and for row the widgets are being presented from left to right. Now we have basic structure ready. Now we need to position it perfectly. So first, for this main wrapper column I will provide this space between. Now it has been pushed at the bottom, right? So the weather info is taking its position. Now we need to push these two columns further. As of now they are positioned one after another, so we need to do the similar thing for this column as well. But after adding it, we can see that it's not pushed further at the bottom, because this column is taking the space which is required for its content, and these are the contents. This is the space it is required to display it. If we have more content, then it will expand it, but right now it's not required to expand it, but we want to expand it forcefully. So for that we need to wrap this upper level column with another widget, and that will be the expanded, and we need to provide this main axis alignment to this upper level column. Now after saving it, we can see that it has been pushed further at the bottom, right? So right now we can see that we are getting the layout as we want, right? and I haven't created these dots as of now. I will create these later, but the main part is these two parts, and right now it has been positioned at their places. Now after implementing this basic layout, we can start implementing our app. Now I am going to add the information which is required. So after this city name, we have this date and time information. Over here you can use the date and time and format it as per your requirement, but right now I am going to use a string over here, so that is what I am going to use right now. So this is the string, and for the font size I am going to use 14, and it seems that for font weight it will be bold. And then for the sized box I have provided 5 to provide a gap between these two, and for this sized box I change this height to 150 to push it further at the bottom. So this has been done. Now I will create this one. So here it is 24, and then we have this degree symbol with centigrade or Fahrenheit unit. So for that I'm going to use a Unicode, and this is the Unicode for degree Celsius. Here we can see that we have 24 degrees Celsius. Now for the font weight I will use 85, and for font weight I will use 300. Now after this temperature we need to provide this icon and the weather type. So it will be a row. Let's wrap this with a row, and here we need to provide the icon. We need to provide this assets, so it will be SVG icon. So I'm going to use SVG picture asset, and to use this SVG picture you need to use this Flutter SVG package, as I have already told you previously, and make sure you import that package. And over here it will be assets, then our icon, so it is moon SVG. Okay, so we have some error because I haven't provided the width and height of it, so I'm going to use 34 pixel, and for the color of it I will use white color. Now we can see that it's showing perfectly. Now beside it we need to provide some spacing. For that I'm going to use sized box, and here we need to use width, and for width of it I will use 10 pixel. Now we need to provide the weather type, and for the font size I will use 25 pixel, and this font will be font weight 500. Now it has been pushed over here. Now let's see. Here we need to provide this cross axis alignment start, so it's now positioned perfectly. Now after this information we have this weather information, so we need to create these things. So these things are in a row, but for each section we have column layout, right? So now within this row I will create column widget, and within this column widget I will provide this text. Now for this font size I will use 14, and it is wind, and then after it we have the information, so it's 10 and it's a bold font, and after that we have another text. So I copy this one, and it will be the unit. So it is kilometer per hour, and it will be 14 pixel font size. After this information we can see that we have a bar present over here, and it will indicate the value of these things. As this value is 10, the bar is not filled properly. If that value increases, then the bar will be increased, and if the value is lower, then the bar will be decreased. So after this text I'm going to create stack widget, and I'm going to use stack because for this bar we have two colors. First will be a gray color, and then the actual color which represents the value. So here I'm creating a container, and for this container height I'm providing 5, for width of it I'm providing 50, for color of it I'm providing this color. Now after this I copy this container once again, and this time it will be width 5, and for the color of it I will use green accent. Now you can see that it feels like a bar, but now we can see that there is not a proper gap over here. So for that I want to provide a padding from the bottom of this screen for this section. So I will wrap this row with a padding, and for this padding I will use 20 pixel from the bottom. So now it's visible properly. So I need to copy this column 3 times. So that means it will be 3 columns, as I have already existed one, so I will copy this 2 times, and now we can see that 3 widget has been copied perfectly, but it's not positioned properly. For this row main axis alignment, I will provide this space between. Now you can see that it has been expanded properly. Now after this wind we have rain and humidity. So rain, and for the unit of it will be percentage. For this color I will use this red accent, and then we have this humidity and it will be in percentage as well, and I will use same color for this one. So this is the final layout which we have built, but there's much more thing left which we are going to implement now. So first thing, we can see that this slide indicator has been missing from our app, and then we need to slide it to different locations as well, right? Now to do that, first I am going to separate this container, and this container is containing this complete final layout. So I am going to cut this one and create a new directory called widgets, and here I will create a single weather widget, and over here I am going to use it. And of course I need to import material.package, and for this Google font I need to import Google font, and then for this SVG picture I need to import Flutter SVG. Okay, now we can call this single weather widget over here. Now after saving it, it should be the same, so it's showing perfectly. Now we can get rid of this Google font import. Now after this container, which is providing this black opaque color, I will create another container, and for this container child I will provide a row, and for this row children I will provide several containers to create these dots. So for this container width I will provide 12, and for the height I have provided 5 pixels. Now for the decoration of it, I will provide this box decoration color, and the color will be white 54. Now for this container, I will provide margin only. For the top, I will use 140. So now we can see that this bar has been present over here, right? So I need to provide some left margin as well. For it, I will use 15 pixel. Now I want to provide some border radius of it, and it will be radius circular. Now after saving it, we can see that the radius has been applied to it. Now I can copy this container several times, and now this time this width of it will be 5. Now we can see that several dots has been created, but we need to provide some margin. So for horizontal, I will provide 5 pixel margin. So now it has been separated. So for every container, we need to add this margin. Now it has been created like this, but for this active one, we need to provide white color. Right, so now it's looking perfect. So these are the slide dots. Now I'm going to create the slider over here, and to create the slider, I'm going to use PageView. So it will be PageView builder, and for this item builder we will provide this single weather. Now we are using this PageView to create the slider over here, and the slider will contain different locations with the weather information of those locations. So for that we need to create a model, and on that model we will provide the data which we want to slide within this PageView. So I'm creating a models directory, and within this models directory I'm creating weather locations.dart model, and here I'm going to paste model data for our weather app. So this is our weather location model, and for each weather location we will receive these information. So city, date, time, temperature, these informations, and these informations will be required. So this is our model. And then we have created this location list array where we are providing the data. So for each weather location we are providing the data. So I have created 4 weather location information, and now I am going to use this location list in this page view for this item count. So the item count will be location list dot length, and for its scroll direction I will use axis horizontal. So now save it. Now after saving it, we can see that we can scroll to different pages, right? But the information is not getting changed because our single weather widget is static. It is not considering any dynamic information. So here I'm going to add int index, and we will require it for this widget, and we are going to use information based on that index value. So for the first index we are going to display this information. For second index value we are going to display this information, right? So here it will be location list index.city, and we have this city value. So similarly it will be date time. So let me quickly change these things. And here for these values we are getting integer value, and we need to convert it to string to display within this text widget. And after that here we are going to pass this index value. Now save it. After saving, let's hot reload. Now we can scroll and we can see that our information is getting changed, right? Now we need to change the background image based upon the weather type, and we need to make this dots indicator functional. Let me copy this this container in a new file, and that file will be called slider.dart file, and this will be a single dot. And for this slider dot we are going to receive a boolean value, and that will be this is active. If this dot is active, then the width will be 12, else the width will be 5, right? As this one is active, so it has a bigger width. As these are not active dots, so these are in a rounded shape. And it will be similar for this color as well. So if it is active, then the color will be white, otherwise the color will be this one, white 54, right? And as it will be animated, so we will replace this container with animated container. Now save this one, and now let's update this thing. So we can get rid of this container. Here within a loop we can run this loop for this array length, and we can display slider dot, and as of now I am providing true. Okay, here is the problem. To use the animated container we need to provide duration, and the duration will be 150 millisecond. So right now we can see that 4 slider dot has been created, and as I have provided true for all of them, so it's showing like this. I'm going to update this within a minute. Now we need to change this stateless widget to a stateful widget, and here I will create this current page integer variable, and I will initialize it with 0, and I will create another string variable called bgimage, and I will use this one for this background image. Now here I have created this onPageChanged function, and in this function I'm going to accept this index, and after accepting it I'm going to set state. I'm going to update current page with the index, and within this page view on page changed attribute I'm going to use this function. So for on changed, this function will be triggered, and with this function we are updating our current page. By default initially it will be 0, so we are initializing it with 0 as the first array index is 0, so the initial page will be 0, and as we will change the page view we will update the current page with the index value of that page. So we can consider that over here, if I equal to current page, then slider dot will be true, else for slider dot we will provide false. So that means from I equal to 0 to array length we are looping this, and if the I value is equal to current page, then our slider dot will be active, so that's why we have provided true. If it is not equal to current page, then it will be false, so that means it will not be active. So after saving it, you can see that it has been changed. Now as we slide to different page, our indicator is changing. Right, so that's how we can make our slider dot functional, and this is the page view implementation. And here I am using some basic part of page view. If you want to know more about page view, want to implement a carousel, then I have a tutorial dedicated to this page view which I have created previously. I will suggest you to check that if you want to know more about page view. You can find that video from the I icon, or you can get that link from the video description below. Now let's change the background image. So here is our background, and we have created this bg image variable, and we are going to use it over here. Here we can see the weather type. So we have different weather types, and for each weather type we have different images as well. So if location list current page weather type equal to sunny, so that means if the weather type is sunny, cloudy, night or rainy, after checking this, I will update bg image accordingly. So for this sunny weather type, we have sunny.jpg. Else if it will be night, then we are going to use night.jpg. So I can copy this several times. And now we can use bg image here. Now we can see that it's changing as we are changing the location, right? So it's working perfectly. Now it is almost complete, but we are missing one thing, and that one thing is that right now if you look the sliding, then you can see that there is nothing fancy over here. We are just sliding this information, this text informations, and there is no animation to it. But if we look to our completed project, then we can see over here, while we are scrolling, that time our text is getting shrinked. As you can see over here, if I am sliding, then this London text is smaller. When we add that page, that time it is getting bigger, right? I believe you are getting my point. So this animation is not happening to our project. As you can see right now, there is no smaller or bigger text while we are scrolling. We need to implement that animation over here, and for that we have a package called transformer page view. Here we can see that there are several types of transformer page view present. So we can see this kind of examples. So we are going to implement this kind of animation to our project. For that, first we need to install it. So copy this dependency and add it to our pubspec.yaml file. And now we can use it in the place of this page view, and here it will be transformer page view, and here we need to provide transformer value, and we can get it from a Dart file which they have provided in their example. Here you can see that built-in transformers.dart file. Over there they have created many transform animation, and you can get it from their GitHub repository. So I have already downloaded that file, and I'm going to add it to this widgets directory. So here within this built-in transform, I have added these codes, and here you can see that there are several transform present, right? And I'm going to use scale and fed transformer, and it will be fetched from this built-in transform.dart file. So this is the file, and I will change this path to relative paths, and for viewport fraction I'm going to use 0.8. Now let's see. Here you can see that our transform animation is working, right? So that's how we have implemented our weather app UI, and it is fully functional from the UI perspective, and we are getting the data from this data model. In a real world scenario, this data will be fetched from an API. So this is the tutorial, guys. I hope you have learned something new from this tutorial. If you do so, hit the like button, let me know by commenting down below, and if you have any kind of suggestion for me, then also let me know by commenting down below, and share this tutorial tutorial with your friends and colleagues, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this, and I will see you guys in my next tutorial. In the meantime, have a great day. Goodbye.